Good afternoon, Jan.
Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
Doing very well, sir.
Okay.
Oh, my audio is clipping badly. There we go. A little bit better. Okay.
Yeah, you sound reasonably well. It's perhaps a little bit distorted.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. Let me just to make sure that we're not recording something terrible sounding. Um, I usually have to go in and reset uh, my input settings. Yeah, it did it again. It bumped the volume up to 100%. Now it's down to 80%.
yeah,
That gives me tighter control over all my
that,
apps. Very good.
yeah, that's better. Okay, I have some good news.
Yes,
I didn't,
excellent.
I didn't look, I didn't look at your progress. I got a little mail. I read it, but I left it out. I said no. I want to continue on the SQL Lite.
Very nice.
Show you something. It's not getting out of the database yet, but the queries are all right. So look, so it's this one. Can query for successors.
Mm-hmm.
So for the moment, it's very simple one. Now I already implemented a little bit more than that for the query description, but I only run that test. So if I run this one, but I don't go to the end, I look, I put a iStore.query,
Mm-hmm.
and I just end it here where I have the SQL query tree. And so if that one, I have a watch here.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that was from renew it. Yeah. So I have 3 parameters, which just 2 indexes and a hash, which of course do not correspond to what I find in on Jinaga server. That's normal.
Mm.
Because it's location independent, so the hash is different. It's a different database. This is just on the local database.
Okay.
I've no,
Hmm. Yeah, actually,
I've no,
I do intend for the hashes to be the same on different databases, so that might be something to look into a little bit later.
um, oh yeah, they should be the same. No, they are different.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, so yeah, we can
yeah,
investigate that later.
but anyway, so 14 and 2, they are different because there are different things in the database.
Yeah, those are going to be different for sure. Yeah.
I have three parameters in total, and that's what I have also on the Jinaga server side. And then if we look to the SQL one here, that's going to be, yeah, I copied and pasted in an, right. Let me just do that again and just show that window to you. Yeah, but then I cannot see the code anymore.
Mm.
Okay, I'll make it. Can you make it multiple lines here?
um. Yeah,
I
I don't
always
think so.
copy it to.
Well, when you hit the view and the text visualizer,
Yeah, here it is. Here it is.
okay. Yeah,
You,
for some reason the text visualizer is not showing up for me. Um, it must be because it's a pop up and it's not part of the
oh,
Visual Studio window.
okay. Then I will just copy and paste it anyway.
Okay.
Oh. copy, paste, and then give you the other one then. So stop streaming with this one, and then go to Notepad. So make that window a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
And then hack it in pieces. Select from join where an order. And if
Nice.
I copy and paste the one that I get from, where is it here? Copy value. That's the one I get from, yeah, no, that's not what I wanted. Yeah. Yeah, here we already have. Okay, forget about. That comes from Jinaga server. So select from.
Yeah, looks the same to me so far.
When I tested it.
Oh, I do see an extra $sign in that join. F2 on F$2.
Here.
Yeah.
That's one that I forgot to take out. Okay. So if I send that to the database, that's not going to work. Okay. That's probably one of the $signs on the literal strings that I copied over. Okay. But so I have exactly the same string. What I still have to do now is get that out of. So if we go back to the other one. So get that out from my database. Do you still see the screen?
Yes. Yeah, I can see Visual Studio now.
Okay. So actually, just in the SQL tree, I don't need to compose it because I don't have any child queries yet.
Yeah, in this case.
And then I should send it to the database. But that's the last 5 minutes. Which would probably be at 3 hours before it works, but.
But yeah, you've been sending stuff to the database and getting responses back. So yeah, 5 minutes should be all it takes.
Yeah. Then we will see what doesn't work yet. At least you already found the dollar sign. That's an additional one.
Yeah. Years of test-driven development. You're looking at test failure messages. Expected this long string, got this one. So can you give me a little bit of help? All right, character by character.
Yeah. No, but here I saw that the test-driven development is actually, again, very nice because you just run that test routine until you get a SQL string that is correct.
Yeah.
And I had quite a few funny things. Wait, is it still a breakpoint or not here? Wait, let me stop that one. A few nice surprises. What was it? Generate joins. Generate joins. That's one of them. This one.
There's a lot going on in that routine. Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, I'm using here select just for its side effects.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but the result was that it was never executed because
Right.
I'm not using that value of A. So my joins were not in. So in the end, the solution was just to add a count. But that's
Yeah.
not really good programming practice.
Yeah. So I would recommend
It's
changing that from select to
just
for each. There should be a
just
dot
for
for
each
each
loop.
method. I mean, there's also, of course, the for each language feature, but I think on immutable lists they've implemented for each.
Do they have for each? Yeah.
Yeah.
They have for each. Why? I've been searching for it for so long. I thought.
Yeah.
I must been for each, and then what is it?
And then it should just be the same lambda, so you could actually just get rid of the select and replace that with for each, and you should be good.
And then select, and so I don't need the count anymore.
Yeah. And the assignment as well. So the var a goes away because for each is void.
Yeah. So let's see.
Okay. But yeah, you've got some return true in there just so that you could have a value. Yeah, so you can get rid of those.
That was during the testing that I put it in, and I never removed it. Okay. Now I'm doing that same trick on another place again, but yeah. So if we go here, just refresh this one. The query.
There's the SQL.
Have my 3 parameters. Let's see whether that's still the same. That one you cannot see.
But I believe it's the same. And I think we already have our thumbnail too.
No. Yes, no. Yes, it's the same. Yeah. It's okay. Great. Oh, that's one of these things. Nice. Select as a side effect. Let me see whether I had questions. Yeah. In that same tail join. Yeah, something that I had a few times as well. Here. So this one. Yeah. So as a parameter, generate joins needs an immutable list of integers, an immutable list of edge descriptions.
Okay. Yeah.
The moment that I do take one, because I only need the first one, then it becomes an IEnumerable.
Yeah.
But not an immutable list anymore.
Yeah.
I get a cast error. So I add 2 immutable lists to make it again an immutable list. Is that the recommended way? Or
yeah, I think in this case you can actually just change the signature of generate joins so that it takes an IEnumerable. Yeah. Yeah, so there you're kind of making an assumption that you are now inside of code that you control, and you say, okay, I know that this thing is not going um, to try to do anything crazy. I don't have to make a copy of the list. Um, yeah. So I think that would be safe here.
I could make this an enumerable,
Yes.
but then imagine that I need properties of my list further on.
Hmm.
I'm not sure whether it's the case in this case.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm thinking it's if it's code that you control, then you can do that optimization. You can say that all right, I'll go ahead and pass an IEnumerable, knowing that if I need to do any transformations on it, then I can let those transformations happen on the fly. Um,
Yeah.
Versus immutable lists, do the transformations, make a copy of the transformed list. Like in this case, just the take one is the transformation, and then uh, move forward from there. But yeah, I will always use immutable list if I am leaving the scope of my private methods. Um, so it's like,
But
okay, I never want
inside,
somebody else to have my IEnumerable because weird things can happen.
yeah. And inside, just make it an enumerable.
Yeah, I think that's safe. Now, if you can see while you're going through this that you would have some reiterations. Like you were talking about, if you need some properties of the list, like you need the count, um, or if you need to loop through it twice or something, then um, uh, going from immutable lists to IEnumerable doesn't save you an awful lot because you have to end up doing under the covers. It does those things for each time that it gets the count or runs through the iteration. Um, so yeah, I would say just um, go ahead and take that optimization carefully.
Yeah, because like here, no, because it doesn't generate a new one. But for
Right.
example, here, joins is an immutable list.
Mm-hmm.
So I use add, so I make a new one. So each time he's going to copy the whole list. And that happens each time I go to that loop here.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to copy the whole list.
Yeah, so the implementation of immutable list.add does have some optimizations in it to use um, uh, what do they call that? Structural. It's the idea that uh, the contract says you've made a full copy, but since it's immutable, I know that I can reuse part of the structure of the other one. Um, I think add does that optimization, but maybe it doesn't. Um, yeah, so another alternative is rather than doing the for each and adding to the immutable list, you can make that a select and return each one of those joins that you want to add. In this case, you've got some that add multiple returns, so it would have to be a select many. And it's like, okay, this one returns an array of 1, that one returns an array of 2. Select many flattens it out. That would be kind of weird. This is easier to read. Yeah.
Then I need an expert like you to write it.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah,
then nobody will.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that this if you were to change it to a select many, which now that I've reasoned through it, I don't recommend. But if you were, then you would want to do a to immutable list at the end of the function, so that you're returning an immutable list. Yeah, that way you don't have an IEnumerable that was set up inside of a function that you're then iterating outside of the function, which is perfectly supported. It works, but it's then hard to think through the the actual execution of the code, because like you've left a function and then you single step into something and now you find yourself back in the function. It's like, how did this happen? And if you're not doing anything asynchronous, you don't have any concurrency, then it's not going to cause any problems. In this case, you don't have any concurrency. But yeah, if you do have concurrency or you do have things changing out from underneath the class, then things can get really weird. So yeah, copying it to an immutable list before returning is always a safe bet.
Oh, link is very nice, but sometimes it's like all these joins. Right. No, not this one. I made it join string. Yeah. So for example here. So actually you have a select. And then in the end you just want to so in the beginning I used aggregates everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sometimes you just put one next to another, then next time you put ands in it or commas. But these aggregates, it becomes so ugly. So I just made another extension method, which uses string.join.
Nice, I like that.
And I don't know why it's not built in in IEnumerable.
Yeah, it seems
For
like
me,
it should be.
it's much more readable.
In the past, string.join took an array. Now it takes an IEnumerable, so you can do this in one line. But in the past, you had to actually do a .to array on your IEnumerable while you're doing the join. So this was this was multiple operations in here. But yeah, this makes it much easier to read.
In that way, it's nice. Okay, but now we finally have the SQL coming out. Now I have to get it out of the database and then make sure that all the SQLs run through this. But okay.
Yeah.
Should be able to do that.
Yeah, I think what you'll find is once you've got the first thread all the way through, then it's like, okay, let's take a more complicated specification. All right, let's take a projection with a child specification. Let's do the where not exists, and every time you add a little bit more complexity, I think you'll find that the change that you have to make to get that extra complexity to work is actually smaller and smaller until you get to the point where you add complexity that you think is not going to work, and then it does, and it's like, oh, you surprised yourself into having a complete implementation.
Yeah. Now the good thing is that I have the implementation in Jinaga server, so I can really compare. Do I have the same results if something is not working? And that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and so far it's kind of nice that Postgres and SQL's or not SQL's or this is SQLite. That Postgres and SQLite are both following the standard pretty well, so they come up with the same results. I'm pretty sure that at some point you'll run into a difference between the two implementations of SQL, and then you won't get exactly the same SQL string as you do in Jinaga server, but yeah, you should definitely get the same results from the database.
Because I'm looking now the parameter passing to SQLite. How is that going to work? Because it's a while that I worked with SQLite, so I forgot everything again. Yeah, that's. But we will find out quickly.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so I am kind of curious about the difference in the hash code, or the fact hash.
Okay. Yeah, wait. Let me see. have to run this one again here. So if we go to SQL3 here, go to that parameter. Yeah, okay, that's what I got before as well here.
Okay.
And that's
so
what it
at least it's being consistent.
TEV. Yeah. Let me make that window here a little bit smaller for the Jinaga side, for the server side. Then I can show you that one. I cannot share two screens at the same time now. Change window. That's this one. So let's see here. Yeah, let's start this one from scratch. So actually, so this one is running in debug mode.
Mm-hmm.
What I did was worked with this one.
Okay.
That's the flow. I added a timeout here. Because without the timeout, he has a timeout of, I think, 100 seconds or 100 milliseconds. So if you are debugging, then you get very fast into trouble.
Mm.
So if I run this one.
Yeah, do you have a breakpoint?
I think I have no, yes, I have a breakpoint here. Why is he? I was been clearing up breakpoints, but he's in the read here.
Which I appreciate, by the way.
Right. So if I close that terminal, then open this terminal and npm run debug, debugger attached. Okay. Now I go here. Okay. There is. So
okay.
I'm result composer. It's not here where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in. It's not query. It's in read. Yeah. Let's see whether it gets there. If I just run F5, yeah. So now he's in the read, not in the query. Yeah. So here I have my SQL tree. That's the one here. If I go to my select, I take my parameters, you see, Z4A.
And there's a different hash.
Yeah, because the other one was TEV.
Yeah. Okay,
so
that's
that different.
Hash, yeah, that hash should be coming in from the full specification. So it should have some let statements at the top. Actually, in this case, probably just one, and that actually has the hash in it.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh, in fact, you output that right there at the top. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. If I continue here, then we go here.
Yeah. So there's the Z4A.
That's the hash here.
Okay. So there's something about, and what's interesting is this hash is also generated by .NET. So it's not a difference between the .NET and the JavaScript hash algorithms.
Yeah. Now wait. Is everything exactly the same? If I go,
so you get your Skylane Airline day, date, time.
Because it might well be that, for example, my time is different.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've got today.
Oh, yeah.
Which...
This is today. And in the other one, it's the 4th of July, 2021.
Ah, okay. So this is a test that passes only once.
No, because why did I change it to make it repeatable on the other side? But here I never. So it's normal that the hash is different.
Yep. Yep. Mystery solved.
Wait, let's try.
But I always get nervous when I when I see something like that. So wait a minute, there's a bug. That's a pretty significant bug.
Like this. So put the same one in here. Up. Look, VEV. Here it is.
Yeah, is that the same hash that we saw on the other side then?
That's the same one.
Okay.
Let's see whether the other one it went to all the way, but the first 4 characters are the same. Where was it here? Yeah, it's not in debugging anymore, but the first 4 are the same, so it should be completely the same.
Yep, that's good enough thumbprint for us.
So it was not a bug; it was just a feature.
Yes.
Excellent. Normal that it was different. Okay. No, but immediately you see what it's so convenient to have everything here. And you can try it out. Now, of course, in this way. Oh, let's see if we continue. Yeah, but yeah, no, the parameters come in. Yeah, from here I cannot do a real query. Or can I? Yeah.
Yes, you should be able to.
Yes. Of course. Wait, that was the original one. This one here is doing a query.
Okay. Yeah.
So, if I go here, he's not going to this query. The query from .NET
right
is going to Vita.
Yes. Yes, it fetches the evidence and then it runs the query locally.
Yeah, and does it calculate locally here on the server somewhere the hash again?
No, it does not. So that is encoded within the feed object that's coming in. So that should be the full specification string already parsed into its components.
Okay. Because right now, what we've tested is that in .NET and in .NET, it calculates the same way. But we have not calculated the hash on the server in JavaScript.
Yeah, not in this test. I do have unit tests for that, where I basically produce the same facts in both unit tests in TypeScript and in JavaScript and in C#, and then I copied the hashes that were produced in one and pasted them into the asserts in the other, and so yeah, they're verifying that they both continue to generate the same hashes that they had in the past and that they're the same as each other.
So it should work. All right.
Yep.
I didn't install the updates yet on my system since you made the changes. Because I saw
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I think that those updates would not be in the area that you're looking, but I can't be 100% sure that it wouldn't mess up the um, yeah, the state um, the debugging session that you'd already set up. So so yeah, that's a good call not to take them quite yet. They're not going to be important to you quite yet.
Great. Did you have any other things?
Yes, yes, I do.
Let's stop that sharing here.
All right. So let's go to Jinaga Wiki. Okay. Yeah, so Janaka Wiki is a React Native application.
Mm-hmm.
So app, we just have our providers and then stack container. We're just doing some React navigation stuff. The important thing is that eventually you'll find yourself on the pages screen, and this is doing a Jinaga watch using the new specification syntax. So we can get the pages in sight. And so I do a j.watch starting from the site, which is this particular site. So I made up wiki.jinaga.com. Hey, maybe one day that'll exist. And maybe it'll be driven by this model. But yeah, I can do a j.watch for the pages in that site, and then as they come in, I can append them to this this array of page projections. So a page projection is just something that has a path.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pieces working in this one file that eventually I do want to create helpers for them, move them out into their own place, get this trimmed down so that it's easier to read. But for right now, I wanted it all together so that I knew exactly where to put the seams, what was going to be important. So what I can do is I can mirror my screen from my phone, and I guess sometimes I have to do this. Try again, a power mirror. Okay, there we go. Now it should be mirroring the screen. There we go. All right. So I always try to click on it over here. It doesn't respond to clicks over there. But so this is Expogo. This is kind of a sneak peek for the course that just launched. React Native, building React Native apps in TypeScript. But yeah, what I start you off with is Expogo, which is an application that runs on the device, in this case on the iPhone, and connects to a server that is running on your machine. So this is the Metro server. And in fact, this is how the Metro server is how all React Native stuff works. What Expo does is it gives you an application that you can install from the App Store that can connect to the server. That way, you don't have to use Xcode or or Android Studio in order to do that build and do the native deployment to the device. So this is how I can run this app on my iPhone even though I'm developing on Windows. And I don't have a Mac. My Mac died, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting to replace it. Now that
So you installed the app from the App Store.
Yep, installed Expogo from the App Store.
Yeah, and then that server on Windows, why is it there? Because it didn't install from that server.
Right. Yeah. So the server's there. This QR code, you scan it with the phone, and then that contains the connection information for Expogo to get back to the machine. And then what this application does is whenever I make a change to the code, it rebundles that application and then sends it off to the phone. So then the phone, I'll just tap Jinaga Wiki. You can see it just loaded some stuff, and we saw that it did some bundling. Here are the logs that you see I'm logging right here. So those console logs show up inside of the Metro server, and I can use the application on the phone. So it's
Michael, is it then so that actually you install Expo, as a kind of wrapper from the Apple Store,
mm-hmm.
and Expo will load the rest of your application from your Windows server?
Yes.
Is that the way it works?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yep, and you
So
can see the port that it opened from my local server.
Mm-hmm. And is that something which can only be used in development, or you could use it in production where your customers load updates for the application from your own server and not from the Apple Store?
It's only for development. That would be interesting. I wonder if that would. I haven't heard them saying that they want to go down that direction. What they do have instead is the same group that created Expo has a CI/CD service that you can subscribe to, and then it will build your application and package it up for distribution to the App Store. So they still take care of a lot of that for you. But yeah, your developer experience is just this really quick edit, rebundle, and it automatically reloads on the phone, kind of a loop. So it's really nice. And it also gives you things like here I'm going to hit M to toggle the menu. The menu opens on the device, and so I can do things like, let's go ahead and reload the application. So it just restarts it from the beginning, or I can show the element inspector. So now I can see if I tap on different elements, it's highlighting them and showing me where they are in the React Native DOM. Mm-hmm. So very useful stuff. So hide that element inspector. Now I'm back to working application. So this is a pretty nice developer experience, and I am very pleased that now Jinaga works inside of React Native. I'm really happy that it works inside of Expo because I can show people just a very simple getting started thing. You don't need any other dependencies. Just create an Expo application, add Jinaga to it, and then you're off. Mm-hmm. So, kind of going through.
And that means that is running as well on Android as on iOS.
Yes, yes. I have not yet tried it in the Android emulator, but there's nothing in Jinaga that even knows about React Native. It doesn't know about the mobile application space. So yeah, there's no reason that that it wouldn't work on Android. But there will be a Jinaga React Native package that will add new capabilities for the mobile ecosystem. So that one will know about iOS and about Android. So local storage. That's there's a different way to do local storage in each of those two environments. So that will be baked into to Jinaga React Native. So there's one other little thing here. So before we kind of go through what this code is doing, there's one other part that is this Jinaga config. And this is actually the very same kind of Jinaga config that you would do for a React application if you were going to be doing this for the web. So in fact, I'm still using Janaka Browser to do this. That is going to have to change because Janaka Browser gives you things like IndexedDB. That's not going to be. There is no IndexedDB on the phone. But so I'll have a different mechanism to create your Jinaga instance that knows that I'm on a phone, so therefore I can enable StoreKit. Not StoreKit. StoreKit is actually for the store, but what's the one for storage? Anyway, there's a
SQLite
on
Android.
Yeah, SQLite on Android, or I guess we could actually just use SQLite on both, and that way, that probably makes a lot more sense than re-implementing it on top of Apple's persistence mechanism. Yeah. So when we get there, that's what we'll pull in, and so we'll have a different factory. But for right now, I can use Jinaga Browser because I know I'm not using the IndexedDB. But this endpoint right here, what I originally started with was localhost 8080 and HTTP. So I was connecting to my replicator running in Docker. And while it was able to get to localhost, well, I had to change localhost to the actual machine name or the IP address. So it was able to get to that machine because here my phone is not actually running on this machine. It's sitting right over here, but it's on the same network, and so it needs to be able to address the machine just like it's addressing it here by the IP address. So that IP address was not the thing that caused problems. The thing that caused problems was that this was HTTP. The replicator Docker image does not know how to host an HTTPS endpoint. And it would be hard to make it do so because you would have to install a new certificate for every container that you create. I'm not going to ship a certificate. That's just bad form. So I could not do HTTPS for the Docker container, and Apple has a really good security policy here where they say, all right, every connection from an application on this device must be HTTPS. There's a way that you can tell it to make an exception. I'm not going to make that exception. It's like, no, let's not you weaken the security just to give you a developer experience. Let's figure out a good solution for this. And so the solution that I came up with is this little NGROC thing. So NGROC is this pretty cool little command line. I just ran NGROC HTTP 8080. So I just ran that locally from the command line, and it says, okay, you're hosting something at HTTP, not HTTPS, HTTP localhost 8080. And so NGROC is a service that runs up in the cloud, and it says, okay, I'm going to create a new endpoint at HTTPS, this random number that I generated for you, .ngroc.io. And then...
Okay, it's a kind of gateway or proxy.
Yeah, your little reverse proxy that's running locally is connected up to NGROC, and then every time NGROC receives a request, it sends it back down. You respond, send the server back, the response back up, and then it sends that response back to the phone. And it's pretty speedy. I expected there to be a bit of lag when it did that, but I haven't really noticed much, so I'm not really taxing it all that much. But then it also has this nice little feature of actually logging out all of the queries that are happening and the responses that you're getting back. So I can see that that I'm doing the it's actually, this is the most recent one that I did. So kind of going starting from here, it said, all right, I'm going to post the feeds up here. It generates those feed URLs, sends them back to you, and now I'm going to get from one of those feed URLs. In this particular case, there's only one feed URL, and I'm going to get from a particular bookmark that I have. The bookmark query string parameter is not showing up in here, but I have verified that yes, the bookmark is being properly managed, and this made me really happy when I saw that. It's like, okay, because NGROC is acting as a reverse proxy, it's doing all the right things that a reverse proxy should do, and it's saying, all right, the response that I got back from the thing that I forwarded to is exactly the same as what I've got cached. So I'll tell the client that it's not been modified, and so the client is doing its own caching. That's already built into the HTTP stack on the iPhone, and so it's saying, all right, not modified. So I don't have to receive the body. So basically, it stops the bulk of the data, going between those 2 points, and says, "You got this. All right, I'm good." So yeah, the URL for fetching from a feed using Git, using the bookmark query string parameter, that is paying off, and it works well with caches. So okay. I was very happy to see that.
And that's a completely free server?
It is for a certain amount of load. If you need more, or you need some additional features, then you pay more. You pay something. Yeah. So the instructions to the React Native developer could be, and for the short term will be, you create a container, use NGROC, put that NGROC URL in here, and then start doing your development. Now, every time I stop the server and then say again, all right, NGROC HTTP 8080, it is going to come up with a brand new URL. So this one, 4702, no longer valid. It's now 295D. So it's not ideal. I really would like the developer experience to be a bit better than that. Plus, NGROC is not something that you want to to deploy to production either. You actually want to then take that replicator and host it in the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So this inspired me to begin work on the Jinaga Replicator as a service. So basically, just like with NGROC, you'll be able to log in using your GitHub account. Yeah, that's the way that I decided to log into NGROC. So log in with GitHub. All right, you're logged in, and then the Jinaga Replicator application or as a service would then give you a URL that you could paste in there, and then that would be a consistent one for the development of this application. And so that replicator just continues to run in the cloud, and you can use that for application development.
Okay.
So
that's
that is on its way now.
That means that people want to start with Jinaga. They don't have to go through the installation of everything and all the the funny stuff that goes with it.
Yeah.
They can just log in on the server in the cloud, make an account, and then start using the Jinaga server.
Yep.
Yeah. Which includes a database and so on.
Exactly. So give them that code to copy and paste. This a lot of this work here will be replaced with helpers. So then you will be able to define your model. The model, by the way, right here. So we've got our TypeScript classes that we're declaring with their predecessors and their fields, and then we do the build model thing so that we have at runtime a description of the model and how facts are related to one another, because all this gets erased at compile time. We don't have reflection in JavaScript the way that we do in .NET, so we have to redo that. But then you just say model given a site. So here's the type site. I want to match. So now there's that given as a value, and then my fact repository. So facts of type page, where page site is equal to site, and then select this object where the path is the page path, and that object is a page projection, which then I'm going through this React pattern of creating a use effect that creates the watch that then whenever you get back a page projection adds it to the collection. So it's like all of this can be boiled down. The part that is really unique to your application is what is the model and what is the specification. And then let's let Jinaga React take care of the rest.
Okay, just the model and the specification, that's all.
Yep, that's all you should need to say. Yeah, so
getting closer to a universal server.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see that thing come to life, because I would really love to start up some applications, start up some projects where I'm I'm inviting other people to come develop these applications with me, and that's going to give me a way to say, all right, here's a replicator that I'm using for development. You can go ahead and use it, but as you are developing it, and you need to create some new authorization rules and distribution rules, you'll need to have your own replicator. So just sign in here and hit this button, and now you've got your own replicator.
Yep.
So yeah, I want it to be completely free for that developer experience, and then you only start paying when you release the application. That's what I'm going for.
The fact that it saves a lot of time is already worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Great,
Yep.
great.
Yeah, I am looking forward to that. Hey, things are coming together.
Yeah. Luckily that you develop fast.
Yeah. Well, actually, so far with the replicator as a service, I actually just have the one file, package.json. So like, npm init. What am I going to call this? That's all I've done so far. But yeah, I've got the plan laid out. I know which how I'm going to manage that in Azure. So I'm going to be using Pulumi to set up the Azure resources, so that one day in the future, when somebody says, "Okay, this is great, but I need a private instance. I don't want to be part of the shared the shared database, the multi-tenant database," then I'll be able to say, "Okay, Pulumi up. There's your brand new instance. Here you go." So one day, but yeah, if I start with that now, then that day will be much easier. Plus, Pulumi is a joy to work with.
Okay. And how do you feel about, because Azure is quite stable so far.
Mm-hmm.
I have the impression that Microsoft is more stable in its products than Google, for example. But you really like to make use of these products, or for example, you just say Postgres behind it.
Yeah. Azure's managed Postgres offering is pretty good. AWS has a similar offering. They've got a managed database. I forget what theirs is called, but yeah, I believe they've got Postgres as one of those options. And yeah, so yeah, I'm most familiar with Azure, and I know that the features that I'll be using are pretty well baked features at this point. I'm not using anything really strange. Like, they're still actively working on the Kubernetes features, so I'm not going to be using AKS for this. I'm just going to be just using regular web apps, functions, and managed Postgres. Maybe the API management features as well.
But actually, the base technology is technology that you can run wherever you want on whatever. If tomorrow Microsoft says we stop Azure, you can just install Postgres somewhere.
For the most part, yes. So the details are different. So the promise of Kubernetes is you write this one Kubernetes YAML file, and then you can deploy it to any Kubernetes provider. Even Kubernetes is not quite there yet, but with the things that I'm planning on using, they are specific to Azure. But I do know that AWS has equivalents that I could switch over to. So another one of the advantages of using Pulumi is that it gives you an abstraction layer over those differences. So it's possible to write a Pulumi description of an application that can deploy to Azure or to AWS. I'm thinking that in this case, I might actually need to be a bit more specific about, okay, this is how I set up managed Postgres in Azure, and this is some different configuration for managed Postgres in AWS. But I think that I'll be able to abstract those differences and manage them separately. So the upshot will be that in the end, I will end up with something that I could Pulumi up on Azure or on AWS, if that becomes necessary. And I would even trust Google Cloud as well. I think that even though Google has a history of killing products, there are far too many customers on Google Cloud for them to just outright kill it or do a major change to it.
And in general, like Gmail, they will never kill, I hope.
Yeah, way too many people using Gmail.
Yeah, but if you see, for example, they had some accounts. What did they call it? It were also free accounts, which after a while they say, okay, we don't offer it anymore. And some, not companies, but organizations with benevols, they were using it, and at once, they have to choose. Go over to something else or go for a commercial offer, which is not really cool.
Yeah, but yeah, the things that Google tends to kill off more quickly are the things that are free, and Google Cloud is not free.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, but yeah, Google Cloud would be the third one that I implement. So I certainly wouldn't be locked in to Google Cloud. Yeah, so when I'm getting started, I'm locked into Azure. Eventually, I'll have the AWS thing. So it's like, okay, now I've got two options, and that will be important when that glorious day comes that somebody says I need a private instance, and I'll say, okay, I can give you one. It's going to cost a little bit, but probably not too much. I mean, since it'll be so little cost to me to set it up, it'll really just be now the management. I need to hire and train some people to manage that one, in addition to the people who are doing the public offering. But yeah, at that point, it'll be important for them to be able to choose, and I want to be on AWS, and I want to be on Google Cloud. So, all right, that's your choice. Pull me up that one.
Good. That's a nice thing for the future.
Yes. Yep. And hopefully that will generate enough revenue to support the project, and create a whole bunch of immutable organizations.
Yeah, and to make sure that Jinaga continues to live and to be developed, because that's important.
Yep. Indeed.
Great. I'm gonna make it work from the database then. Now that the SQL syntax is there, and then try to get all the different SQL syntax working.
Excellent.
So see you next week.
Yes, indeed. We'll be here. All right.
Next week, more results. Okay.
Yes.
See you, Michael.